we celebrate these days recalling our Mercedarian saints, it's good to just recall again a little of their story, that St. Peter Armengol, he was born in Tarragona, Spain, in the middle of the 13th century, around the time that, well, a little after we were founded. And he lived a very ordinary life, but when he became a youth, he was drawn by bad company into an abyss of dissolute and criminal life as a bandit. But then when there was this roundup going on, he had an encounter, a sword drawn, meeting his own father, and at that moment it struck his heart that he was doing grave evil, and he repented of his evil, and then entered into a new life. So that's what we hear in the first reading. He abandoned this dissolute living and accepted Christ, and in considering all that he was doing beforehand as so much rubbish. And then this led him to give himself even more, and there's an expression, he badgered the Mercedarians to join our order and dedicated his life to the work of mercy and redemption of captives. And he went twice to the Moorish lands. In the second redemption, in 1266, he remained a hostage for the captives in Bahia. And he stayed behind as a pledge for the ransom, and it didn't arrive in time, and they hanged him from the gallows. But then the ransom did arrive through Brother Guillermo of Florence, and they found him alive. So when they took him down, though, he suffered this twisted neck for the rest of his life, and he spent almost the rest of his life, 40 years, living in seclusion in the convent of Santa Maria del Prats, where he died a holy death in 1304. So he truly lived what Christ calls us to live, which is to take up our cross, deny ourselves, take up our cross, and to give our lives. And by giving our lives to him, we are set free. And how can we give our lives to him today? Well, we know that there's all kinds of bondage going on, besides the obvious problems of addictions and human trafficking. But we just even look at the pernicious effect of our what's happening in the digital world, creating this great divide among us. The artificial intelligence, if you see it in this documentary, Social Dilemma, it actually feeds people and encloses people in their view, their bias, their ideology, and it's creating this great havoc among us. And what can we do? Well, obviously, we come to this Holy Eucharist every day before the Lord and give our lives to him in this self-sacrifice for prayer, praying for our family, praying for our friend, and everything we can do to learn how to be a witness of the love of God, witnessing that he really is alive, he exists among us, and that Jesus himself is God's Son and he is risen. We must give witness to this, and also because the reality of Christ is the answer to the suffering and hopelessness of our age, and that we are totally given over to him in our lives. Everything about us is given to God, entering into the mystical marriage through which we offer our lives to him, which includes every aspect, including our human sexuality, in which we offer ourselves to the service of God and one another, and have the proper understanding of this, because this is what our young people are longing to see, the witness of Christ in our lives. And through that witness, we can help one another and help and be a follower of Christ for the redemption of the world, as St. Peter Armengol was in his age. So let's pray for this grace and this strength to be witnesses of Christ's redeeming love today.